conversation about something that a lot of people have certain resistance around. And this is why I want to have this conversation because we live in this wonderful world of propaganda. And we have had some incredible opportunities over this last couple of years that we have been able to really get in touch with what it is that we believe about certain things. And if we don't understand how they're using propaganda, then we are going to be taken down paths that are not to our highest um what's the word highest possibility for ourselves, right? It's like I always say, if you don't understand influence, it's being used on you. And so I want to do everything I can to expose everybody. Hey, Carl, it's good to see you, brother. In fact, I got to reach out to you. I keep saying that we got to connect. So I want to have this conversation around the great thing about manipulation. And this is one of those conversations where a lot of people don't understand that. So let me start out by just asking you the question, and I really want you to get in touch with this of what does manipulation mean to you? And whatever comes up for you is an opportunity for you to expand as we go throughout this conversation, because how many things do we shut down in our lives because we don't like what we experience on the inside of us when we are introduced to it? And this is the very thing that what we resist will persist. And it's my whole mission in life is to create potentializers, which is why I have what I have out there. My podcast, the group, products, all that is around potentialization. And so I want to create as many potentializers as possible. And that's really stepping into actualizing possibility. And so there's times in our lives where we're introduced to something or something, well, not introduced to something, but something comes up and our body goes, whoa, I don't want to experience this. And understanding that your power, your agency is beyond what you've been conditioned to believe is possible. And we have been raised in a society that has indoctrinated all of us with duality, thinking, either or thinking. And until we move beyond that, which is literally a level of awareness, which I'll be teaching in my Mastering Potential inner circle this week, and I'm really excited about that. I've been spending the last couple of days really focusing on what I'm going to be bringing to that class this week. Really excited about that. Anyway, so what came up for you when I said, how do you feel about manipulation? Now, a lot of us have had experience about being manipulated. And of course, if we have experiences around manipulation where we were taken advantage of, it's probably going to bring up some pain because we were victimized as a result of somebody using something on us that we didn't understand was being used on us. And that's why I'm very passionate about bringing this topic to the public, because we've got to get real about understanding how some of this stuff is being used on us. But we will not be able to open this conversation if we have lots of resistance around it and we let the uncomfortableness become more important to us than learning what is important for us to learn. Because again, influence is being used on us until we understand what influence is. And so looking at manipulation, we all do it. We all manipulate people, whether we want to get real about it or not, because there are certain things that we do, and I've got a PhD in this, and yeah, it's see, our ego doesn't want to admit that we have come up with strategies that give us a predictable outcome. And well, we think it's a predictable outcome, but it's a strategy that we have used to protect ourselves, to get what we believe is somewhat an outcome that has been based on lots and lots of evidence. So one of the things that I used to do is feel sorry for myself, right? Because as a child, I got a certain behavior or certain response out of something when I started feeling sorry for myself. So even as an adult, I would sulk. I would not go in a corner like I did when I was a kid, but I would sulk. I would shut down. I'd get distant, and out of that, people would start going, "Hey, what's up?" Right? And they would come forward. So, but it took me moving past my ego for me to recognize what I was doing. Now, the other thing about that, what I ended up creating was that when I did that and people responded how I wanted them to respond, how I manipulated them to respond, I started recognizing that this isn't really what I wanted to have happen. So I started changing and looking at what was it that I was getting out of it. See, friends, understand manipulation. This is what manipulation is. It's nothing more than bending energy. Or like you can take a wire, you can bend it. That is manipulation. It's bending energy. So using, if you look at communication as energy, or a medium to transfer understanding or whatever, you can see it as a way to, now we can go to, I mean, do you think that Jesus was a manipulator? And now I know some of you are listening to this and going, whoa, holy cow. How, well, I mean, did he influence people to step into their greater self and recognize who they were really are in the eyes of God? Is that manipulation? And see, nothing has any meaning. Nothing. Nothing has any meaning but the meaning you attach to it. And see, most people have taken on and lived their lives based on secondhand beliefs. Okay. So if we're raised in a house and somebody says, well, I'm not going to be manipulated and this person's manipulating me, and you have this experience of somebody communicating their experience about what they think manipulation is, as a child, we're going to take on that energy and we're just going to deem it as this is bad. This is something I don't want to experience. So out of that, we are going to label something, manipulation in the case of this conversation, as bad. And so somebody that manipulates, I manipulate people all the time. I manipulate people to step into their greatest version of who they are. Right now, there's ways that I do that, and I have no shame about that because I understand what my intention is. See, when we understand what our intention is, then we can get really, really clear about what it is that I want to create, because my intention is not going to be impacted by somebody else's opinion. However, I understand whatever I'm saying is going to land on people based on who they are. And if they take the opportunity to communicate back to me what it is that they're experiencing, then we can get into this synergistic dialogue where we can talk about what came up, what we experiencing, different things like that. But see, most people will allow the emotion to take over, and then that's what decides the communication. And so think about how many people you have had the conversation with where they say, I don't like confrontation. Well, what is confrontation, right? I mean, if you go into something that you feel that you are confronting and that you are going to go into that being from a place of defensiveness, that's probably what you're going to create. And out of that, you are going to get a reaction from somebody else. However, think about if you looked at confrontation is the ability to clear space so that you can feel connected more, right? Because if there's something inside of you that you have taken on that's impacting your connection with somebody, and if you're not sharing that, guess what you're doing? You are compromising yourself. You are compromising yourself. And that is impacting your ability to get close to somebody. Now, what most people do, and this is unfortunate, what most people do is they'll just leave the relationship rather than getting through and taking the opportunity to deepen the relationship to an entirely different level. Because what destroys relationships isn't, well, we'll just talk about intimate relationships. It's not sex and money, it's communication, right? And so you getting in touch with, now me, another way that I used to manipulate people is that I would use anger, sometimes rage. It's been a long time since I've used rage as a way to manipulate people, but in my anger, I could control. And I'm 6'2", bigger guy, right? And out of that, people would get afraid of that, and of course, they wouldn't challenge me. Well, the issue when you're challenging people and you control your environment, right? You're not getting authentic feedback of how you're showing up. And if you're not getting authentic feedback in how you're showing up, how can you make course corrections to create the life that you really want to have happen? Right? Like a great way to look at this is, see, we all manipulate. We all manipulate. It's just us getting beyond how our ego sees it and really stepping into how do I show up and what is the results of what are the results I'm creating as a result of how I'm showing up, right? Like we can raise our voice, we can shut down, we can be distant, we can talk about superficial stuff and not really get to the point of what's really going on. We can infer things, we can drop hints rather than getting to the point. This is all manipulation. And so until we embrace how we use it, we will not understand. We will feel resistance to it when somebody else is using it. See, friends, this is the beautiful thing about this. If you watch my if you listen to my podcast, if you've been on these trainings, if you've been a part of any of my work that I've done, you have heard me say many, many times, the thing that we resist most in other people are the things that remind us of who we are. But our ego does not want to recognize that, right? So you looking at how do you use manipulation? And see, the more you embrace your own humanity, the less you're going to be irritated or resistant to it when somebody else is doing it. See, if you understand this, so I've been in retail. I was in retail. I'm not in retail anymore. Well, it depends what you define as retail. I was in retail for 20 some years. And this is not a prejudice statement. It's people that have mastered manipulation. And that is the Asian culture, right? And great book I'd encourage everybody to read is I think it's Thick Face Black Heart, which I can't remember I think it's a Chinese version. It's a Chinese book that is translated into an English version of what that book is. I can't remember what the Chinese book is, but anyway, it's in that book. And it talks about how the Asian culture considers it an honor to be able to manipulate people, right? And it's like a challenge for them. This is a game that they love doing. And so when I first started out my retail journey, which is in jewelry, Asian people would come in and I felt like I was just getting beat up, right? And all they were doing was what they have been considered an honor and a blessing and a skill to be able to have conversations in a way that they get what it is that they want. See, and as you start looking at life, everything is a negotiation. Everything in life is a negotiation. And if you don't understand how to use negotiation, then you are getting bought into and enrolled into somebody else's agenda. So looking at, you can look at manipulation or enrolling or influence or negotiation and all these things, and you can push it away, or you can learn how to understand, because the reason we push it away is because we take it personal and we don't really understand what is happening. And see, the reason we take things personal is sometimes ignorance, willful ignorance. The other part of it is being naive. And we are also associating it with a past memory where we were taken advantage of. Like, friends, I've written out a 10,000, this was, I don't know how many years ago now. So it's going on close to 30 years ago, 25, 20, yeah, it's going on 30 years ago, 26 years ago. I had a friend of mine that come up to me with an incredible idea, brilliant idea. And of course, I was in a position in my life where I was getting desperate to make money. I had walked away from my corporate job at that time, and I was in a desperate state. And I had another friend of mine say, "Hey, you should invest in this guy because he's got a great idea, great marketing idea." Guys ran 3 or 4 radio stations, and it was a brilliant idea. I was like, "Wow, this is amazing." And I ended up writing out a $10,000 check. Now, back then, that was a lot of money. And to me, it was an extraordinary amount of money. And what ended up happening to that is that guy took the money and left, right? And so I could sit here, and I did for a while, like blamed him and whined, and how could you take advantage of me and blah, 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 and all this stuff. But see, I'm the one that set that up, right? And see, I projected onto him who I wanted him to be, right? What I just said there, friends, is like, I projected onto him who I wanted him to be. And I trusted another friend of mine who really didn't understand business, who I thought did. But see, I look back on that, and that was a powerful, powerful lesson. Now, this was a catalyst, like one of the last things that I went through before I ended up having to file bankruptcy. When I filed bankruptcy, I had close to an 800 credit score. I just made too many desperate choices in a short amount of time, and I buried myself in credit. In debt on utilizing the credit that they allowed me to have. And I was in a very desperate place. Of course, I didn't understand that back then. Today, I completely understand. When we get into unresourceful states, we make very unresourceful decisions. So I would encourage you to really look at how you perceive the word manipulation, because the word manipulation has no meaning but the meaning you give it, just like a gun. A gun is not positive or negative, right? It's all about how it's used. Now, yeah, and if you were in a mastering potential class, you would understand this at an incredibly different level. But it's all good. You'll get an opportunity again. I'm really excited about what's being created here. So, and if you're not in the potential zone group.com, I would encourage you to get over there because there's lots of amazing things going on there. And I'm doing more and more lives and allowing people and teaching people how to be potentializers. I'm on a mission to create as many potentializers as possible. So understand you are the author of your life. You are the one that gives the meaning to every single word that you have in your vocabulary. And the opportunity for you is when you have a certain word that has charge behind it, like you have a lot of emotion behind it. And this is an opportunity for you to be able to step into that and go, well, what is the meaning I give to this? Or where did I pick up this meaning? Or why does it have to mean this? And really being able to empower yourself, because this is one of my quotes it's one of my default quotes that when I'm in an unresourceful place or I take on something that was like, oh man, okay, here's a chance you get to work through this. Because friends, understand I'm human. I've got an ego. I work through this stuff all the time. Is using this phrase. It's the sign of a mature, educated mind that can entertain a thought and not take it on. Okay. Now we're in a society and a community, and there's somebody out there screaming from the hilltops, fuck what everybody says or thinks about you. Now I'm using that word very intentionally because that's the language he uses. I'm not a person that uses that word, not very often. But I'm encouraging everybody to move beyond that, right? Because I do care about what people think of me, not that it feeds my ego, although I have my days, right? But I care about what people think of me because it's a reflection of them, right? And if they sharing with me or communicating how they see me, I understand that there's something there that provides an opportunity for them to see how they project stuff onto me, because it's not me that they are having the interpretation of. It's what they're accessing from themselves, right? So I do care about what people think of me. But see, what most people do is they don't even know how to manage their inner world, so that everybody in the world has to change so that they don't have to take responsibility for themselves. Okay. And I could go on a big old long list about this. We are living in a world now where most people medicate their emotions away or look for stuff on the outside of them and want the world to change so that they don't have to take responsibility for being offended. And being offended is one of the greatest opportunities for you to transform whatever it is that you're being offended to, because it doesn't matter. If the outside world moves in accordance to you being offended, something else somewhere is going to trigger the same wound that is asking the world to change outside of you. So again, going all back to this, nothing has any meaning but the meaning you give it. Okay, so what does the word manipulation mean to you? Because I promise you, my friend, the media, look up what media is. It's actually the goddess of illusion, right? And looking at like channeling, programming, networking, I mean, all the words that they use, again, I watch TV, but all the TV I watch is recorded so I can fast forward through the commercials. Not all commercials, because there's a lot being said in commercials. Like they're using commercials now in animation to start touching the minds of children so that children begin to believe that certain things are required as an adult to take care of certain ailments, right? I mean, friends, it's everywhere once you start recognizing what's really going on. So manipulation is all around you. And there are people that have agendas that are invested into what they want to create, right? Like I would just entertain you. Why do you think that 60%, I would guess it's 60% of commercials are pharmaceutical or commercials? Not saying one thing or other about that, but just understand that as long as you're awake or not awake, as long as you don't question anything that's going on within yourself, as long as you just take everything at face value, you are being manipulated. Okay. Just straight up saying that you are being manipulated if you don't get in touch with how it's landing for you, how you're interpreting it. See, friends, you are the one that's in choice. You are the one that's in control of your life, because you are in control of your thoughts and your emotions. Whether you choose to believe that or not is a different conversation, but you are, right? And so the more you understand manipulation, influence, all these things, the more power, the more choice you're really going to have. If you don't, someone else is running your life. And if you, whoever's taking responsibility for your life is the one that's going to be in control of it. Right. So I would encourage you for you to take responsibility for your life and invest into yourself that will give you the tools and strategies so that you get to be, so that you can really see what's going on rather than not paying attention to the truth, because there's stuff going on that are leading people astray that will be led astray. And so I'm here to do everything I can to empower people to understand what's really going on with themselves so that they can take that on themselves and then teach other people within them, within their immediate proximity, and teach them as well. Because friends, this world needs to wake up more. It does, and it's happening. I mean, since the internet's been the invent of the internet, lots of people are starting to wake up more and more. But understand, we are a product of our environment. We are a product of our what we expose ourselves to. So really embrace your understanding of manipulation, and then ask yourself how you manipulate other people, and then understand that it has no meaning but the meaning you give it. And that's the same thing with every single word in your life, right? Or experience, right? I'm going to be teaching. I'm really excited about what I'm going to be teaching in the Mastering Potential workshop this week. It's going to be incredible. So look forward to if I offer that again in here in the future, because it's been an amazing journey, and lots of people have had lots of amazing breakthroughs. And yeah, somebody put "wake up from the matrix." Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, it's what, one of the things I call is the sham. It's society's hypnotic altered matrix, right? Society has a great investment in getting you to believe what it wants you to believe, has a great investment into that, because the more you're dependent on certain aspects, the more they run your life. They do not want you to take responsibility for your life, because the more responsibility you give them, the more they control who you are, and the more they get to take your choice away from you. Just understand that, my friends. So I appreciate everybody being here. I hope this was of service to you, of value to you. Again, be sure to join the Potential Zone group.com. You'll be glad you did. Check out my podcast, The Potential Zone. I appreciate each and every one of you being here. And I'm doing another workshop. You can sign up for that at masteringpotential.com. I'll be doing a workshop here real soon, and I hope I see you there. Till then, my friends, know I love you. I appreciate you, and you sharing your valuable time with me. And until next time, live like your life depends on it, because it does, and you deserve the best. And I appreciate you. And I'll see you next time. Much love.